What if I told you that the very fruits you've believed were healthy your entire life could now be silently weakening your legs? Yes, some fruits, especially when eaten frequently after the age of 60, can contribute to muscle weakness, joint stiffness, and even worsen inflammation in the knees and legs. Now, before you push away your fruit bowl in fear, this isn't about demonizing all fruits. It's about understanding that your body changes as you age, and what was once a superfood in your 30s could now be a silent saboteur in your 60s and beyond. Seniors often ask, why do my legs feel weak even though I eat right? Why does my knee pain worsen after breakfast? What am I doing wrong? Well, today I'll reveal 7 common fruits that could be silently destroying your legs. I'll explain exactly why they affect aging bodies, what the science says, and offer you better alternatives that nourish, not weaken, your legs.
So tell me in the comments, type 1 if you've been struggling with leg weakness, cramps or stiffness. Type 0 if you haven't noticed any leg issues yet. And if you're serious about staying strong as you age, don't forget to subscribe for weekly health guidance backed by real science and careful observation. Now let's begin with something most people never think about. Why does your body react differently to fruits as you age? As we age, especially after the age of 60, our bodies begin to change in subtle but powerful ways. And unfortunately, those changes can make certain fruits, even healthy ones, less beneficial or even harmful than they were before. Let's begin with the first major shift. Metabolism slows down. In your younger years, your body could process sugar more quickly and efficiently. But after 60, your metabolic rate drops by about 10 to 20% per decade. That means sugar, especially natural sugars like fructose in fruits, lingers longer in your bloodstream. This can spike your blood sugar, triggering a chain reaction. Increased inflammation, poor insulin response, and most concerning, muscle and joint discomfort, especially in the legs in fact. Studies have shown that post-meal glucose spikes are higher and longer in older adults, which may explain why some seniors experience heaviness or fatigue in their legs shortly after eating. The second change? Circulation becomes less efficient. As arteries stiffen with age and the heart becomes less efficient at pumping, less oxygen-rich blood reaches the extremities, including the legs. The result? Slower muscle recovery, swelling in the lower limbs, cramping during simple movements like standing or walking. And here's the catch. Many fruits are high in natural sugars and acids, which, when poorly circulated, can irritate the blood vessels and tissues in your legs. Let's also talk about your joints, an area most seniors are all too familiar with. Osteoarthritis affects more than 33% of adults over 65. These aging joints are more sensitive to inflammation, and acidic fruits, like citrus or tomatoes, can exacerbate stiffness, especially in weight-bearing joints like the knees and hips. You might think, but I've always eaten oranges. Yes, but now, your joints might be reacting to the acidity and sugar content with microinflammation, leading to that morning stiffness you feel getting out of bed. Here's what most people miss. These effects don't happen overnight. They build gradually. That's why so many seniors don't realize their innocent fruit bowl could be part of what's draining their leg strength or aggravating that knee pain. Think of it like a slow leak in a pipe. One drop won't flood the house, but drip by drip, it weakens the foundation. In the same way, daily sugar spikes, poor circulation, and low-grade inflammation wear down your legs over time, until one day you find it harder to rise from a chair or climb stairs. So now that you know why your body is reacting differently, you're probably wondering, which fruits are the culprits? Let's reveal the 7 worst fruits that may be sabotaging your leg strength, and what to eat instead. Let's begin with the first fruit that may be quietly weakening your legs. Bananas. Yes, bananas. A fruit that's long been praised as a potassium-rich superfood, often recommended to prevent leg cramps and maintain electrolyte balance. That reputation isn't entirely wrong. Bananas do contain potassium, and potassium plays a role in nerve and muscle function. But here's what most people overlook. Bananas are also high in carbohydrates and natural sugars. A single medium banana contains about 27 grams of carbs, much of it as fructose and glucose. That's roughly the same sugar content as 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream. For seniors, especially those with a slower metabolism or borderline insulin resistance, this sugar load can lead to rapid blood sugar spikes. And with those spikes comes something very dangerous for aging legs: inflammation. Studies show that sudden increases in blood sugar stimulate the release of inflammatory cytokines, which can trigger or worsen joint pain, swelling, and muscle fatigue, especially in the legs, which bear the most weight. Ever feel that strange heaviness or soreness in your legs an hour or two after breakfast or lunch? If that meal included a banana, or worse, a smoothie packed with them, what you're feeling may not be random. It could be postprandial inflammation, a response your aging body has to a high glycemic fruit like the banana. But that's not all. And here's another hidden effect. Bananas contain a high amount of tyramine, a compound that can interfere with certain medications and may contribute to vascular headaches or poor blood vessel function in sensitive individuals. So while bananas may seem harmless and even helpful, they can have the opposite effect on aging legs, triggering blood sugar spikes, fueling inflammation. increasing that feeling of post-meal leg heaviness and fatigue. It's important to understand what works for a 30-year-old jogger doesn't always work for a 70-year-old retiree with delicate joints and a slowing metabolism. That's why I urge seniors to rethink bananas, not necessarily to fear them, but to treat them with caution, especially if leg pain, stiffness, or swelling is a recurring problem. Now that we've unpeeled the truth behind bananas, let's move on to the next surprising fruit that could be sabotaging your leg strength from the inside out, one that many enjoy for its tropical sweetness, yet few realize its hidden acidic danger. Now let's talk about the second fruit on our list, pineapple. Tropical, juicy, refreshing, pineapple is one of those fruits that feels like a healthy indulgence. And to be fair, it does have its nutritional benefits. It's rich in vitamin C, antioxidants, and a special enzyme called bromelain, which is often praised for its anti-inflammatory properties. But here's what most people don't realize. Especially seniors with leg problems, pineapple contains high levels of natural sugar. 1 cup of fresh pineapple chunks contains about 16 grams of sugar, more than what you'll find in many processed snacks. While this sugar is natural, it behaves no differently in your bloodstream than added sugar when consumed in excess. As we age, our ability to manage blood sugar weakens. Pineapple's high glycemic index means it causes a rapid rise in blood glucose, followed by a sharp drop. These fluctuations can trigger inflammation in blood vessels, poor circulation, and eventually leg cramps, tingling, or heaviness. Over time, repeated sugar spikes damage the small blood vessels in your legs, reducing oxygen delivery to your muscles and joints. This can make your legs feel weaker, especially during activities like climbing stairs or standing for long periods. But sugar isn't the only concern. Pineapple is highly acidic, with a pH around 3.2 to 4. That level of acidity can be problematic for seniors dealing with arthritis or joint inflammation, both of which are extremely common in older adults. In fact, over 30% of people over age 65 suffer from osteoarthritis, and many more deal with low-grade chronic joint discomfort. For these individuals, pineapple's acidity may irritate the joint linings, especially in the knees, hips, and ankles, leading to morning stiffness, swelling, or even sharp pains after meals. You may not feel it immediately, but after eating pineapple regularly, some seniors report waking up with tight knees or puffy ankles, symptoms that often go unexplained until diet is closely examined. Now here's something most people never consider. Bromelain, the enzyme found in pineapple, can interfere with certain medications, especially blood thinners like warfarin, aspirin, or clopidogrel. Because bromelain can increase the body's absorption of these drugs, it may raise the risk of bruising or bleeding, particularly in the legs where circulation is already compromised. That's why anyone taking anticoagulants or anti-inflammatory medications should speak with their doctor before consuming pineapple regularly. What's helpful for one person could be harmful to another, depending on their age, health status, and medications. So while pineapple is marketed as an anti-inflammatory food, for many seniors, it may do more harm than good, especially if you're struggling with blood sugar fluctuations, joint sensitivity, circulatory issues, or taking medications that interact with bromelain. It's not about banning pineapple forever, but it is about knowing how your body changes with age and adjusting your diet to protect your mobility and leg strength. Now, let's move on to the third fruit on our list. It's small, sweet, and often eaten by the handful, yet it's one of the most common and most overlooked culprits behind leg inflammation and vascular strain. Next on our list is one of the most beloved fruits around, grapes. Small, sweet, and easy to snack on by the handful, grapes are often thought of as a heart-healthy choice, thanks to compounds like resveratrol and antioxidants found in the skin. But when it comes to leg strength and joint health in older adults, grapes may not be as harmless as they seem. Let's begin with what makes grapes problematic. They're extremely high in fructose. Fructose is a natural sugar, but unlike glucose, which every cell in the body can use for energy, fructose must be processed by the liver. When consumed in large amounts, fructose is quickly converted into uric acid, a waste product that, when elevated, can trigger a condition called gout. Gout is a painful form of arthritis that often begins in the big toe, but over time it can affect the ankles, knees, and even the hands. A study published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that high fructose intake is strongly associated with an increased risk of gout, especially in older adults. Seniors often report a burning or stabbing pain in the foot or ankle, especially at night or in the early morning. That may not be general arthritis. It could be uric acid crystals depositing in the joints, which is directly influenced by your dietary fructose intake. Here's the tricky part. Because grapes are bite-sized and hydrating, they're incredibly easy to overeat without noticing. 1 cup of grapes contains about 23 grams of sugar, and it's common for people to eat double or triple that in one sitting, especially if grazing in front of the TV or snacking after a walk. That much sugar, particularly fructose, leads to increased inflammation in the joints, elevated uric acid levels, and worsened leg stiffness and pain, particularly after periods of rest. Grapes also contribute to insulin resistance if eaten frequently in large amounts, especially in seniors whose glucose metabolism is already slowing. This creates a vicious cycle of sugar retention, inflammation, and poor circulation, all of which affect muscle strength, recovery, and joint mobility in the lower body. What's worse, the inflammation caused by excess fructose doesn't just affect the joints, it also impacts the blood vessels that supply the legs. When these vessels are inflamed, oxygen and nutrients can't reach your leg muscles efficiently, leaving them feeling weak, sore, or heavy. If you've noticed nagging aches in your knees, ankles, or toes after meals, or find walking becoming uncomfortable, it's worth considering whether grapes are playing a quiet role in your symptoms. This isn't to say grapes are bad, they offer some heart benefits when eaten in small amounts, but for seniors dealing with joint pain, gout tendencies, or leg fatigue, they may be working against your mobility rather than supporting it. And this brings us to another fruit that's refreshing and hydrating but may surprise you with its hidden sugar impact on aging legs. Now let's turn our attention to one of the most deceptive fruits when it comes to leg health in seniors. Watermelon. Watermelon has a wholesome image. It's light, refreshing, full of water, and often seen as the perfect choice on a warm day. It's true that watermelon is over 90% water, and it does contain some beneficial nutrients like vitamin C, lycopene, and citrulline. But don't let its watery texture fool you. Watermelon is also very high on the glycemic index, with a score around 72 to 80, depending on ripeness. That means it can spike your blood sugar rapidly, much like eating a handful of jelly beans. For older adults, this is a serious concern. After 60, insulin sensitivity declines, and the body becomes slower at regulating glucose levels. This leads to longer-lasting blood sugar spikes, and that's where the problems for your legs and joints begin. High blood sugar triggers a cascade of inflammatory responses in the body. In the legs, this often shows up as swelling, especially around the ankles and knees, muscle fatigue after walking short distances, and joint pain or stiffness that makes climbing stairs or standing from a chair more difficult. In fact, seniors with borderline or diagnosed type 2 diabetes are particularly vulnerable. Frequent blood sugar spikes, especially from high GI fruits like watermelon, can damage tiny blood vessels in the lower extremities, limiting oxygen delivery to the muscles and causing that familiar heavy-legged feeling. Here's where the real issue lies: portion control. Because watermelon is hydrating and low in calories, people assume they can eat large amounts without consequences, but a typical serving can easily turn into 2 to 3 cups, which may contain 20 to 30 grams of sugar or more, all in one sitting. That's equivalent to the sugar in a small soda. And remember, fructose, the main sugar in watermelon, is processed in the liver and contributes to uric acid production, similar to grapes. This can trigger joint irritation in the knees, feet, and ankles, particularly in people with gout tendencies or mild arthritis. What makes watermelon especially tricky is its deceptive nature. It feels like a health food, it's juicy, cooling, and low-fat. But in reality, it behaves like a high-sugar, high-GI treat in the body, especially the aging body. So while an occasional small slice won't cause harm, frequent or large servings of watermelon can quietly contribute to increased inflammation, reduced leg strength, and more difficult movement or stability, especially after meals. If you've ever felt more tired or stiff after a summer fruit bowl, watermelon could be one of the reasons. Now let's move on to a fruit that's often seen as crisp and clean, yet its acidity and sugar profile might be secretly worsening your knee pain and morning stiffness. Let's now look at a fruit that many seniors turn to as a healthy, low-sugar snack: green apples. Crisp, refreshing, and often seen as a better alternative to sweeter varieties, green apples, especially Granny Smiths, are praised for their tart flavor, lower glycemic load, and fiber content. But for aging bodies, particularly those experiencing leg stiffness or joint sensitivity, green apples may not always be as harmless as they appear. Let's start with a key compound: malic acid. This naturally occurring acid gives green apples their sharp, tangy taste. While malic acid is sometimes used in supplements to relieve muscle fatigue in conditions like fibromyalgia in whole fruit form, it can irritate joints and soft tissues, especially when consumed in excess. This is particularly true in older adults who already have sensitive or inflamed joints. Malic acid can act as an irritant to the synovial lining, the soft tissue that cushions your joints. This can lead to thigh soreness after walking or standing, tightness behind the knees, or even lingering stiffness, especially in the morning or after periods of inactivity. In addition to acidity, we also need to talk about the hidden sugar content. While green apples are less sweet than red varieties, a medium green apple still contains around 17 grams of carbohydrates, including roughly 10 grams of sugar. That may not sound like much, but for seniors with impaired glucose tolerance, even small sugar loads can lead to blood sugar fluctuations, especially if eaten alone or late at night. Here's the issue: when eaten before bed, the sugars in green apples can lead to elevated nighttime insulin levels and a slight rise in blood sugar. This has been linked to nocturnal leg cramps, restless leg symptoms, and poor overnight muscle recovery. Sleep disruption combined with leg discomfort is a common but overlooked complaint among seniors. Many people assume it's aging or circulation, but in some cases it may be linked to that healthy apple eaten after dinner. Another consideration is that acidic fruits, like green apples, may worsen joint inflammation in the hips and knees, particularly in people with osteoarthritis. Studies show that acidic foods can lower the body's pH slightly, increasing discomfort in already inflamed joints. Of course, green apples offer benefits like fiber and antioxidants, but the key for older adults is timing, portion control, and awareness of how your body responds. If you regularly eat green apples and notice morning stiffness, tight thighs, or achy knees, your fruit habits may be worth reconsidering, especially if you eat them late in the day or alongside other acidic or sugary foods. Now, let's turn to a fruit that's tropical, creamy, and beloved across cultures, but hides one of the highest sugar concentrations in the fruit world. Now let's talk about one of the most beloved and indulgent fruits, mangoes. Golden, juicy, and irresistibly sweet, mangoes are often the highlight of summer fruit platters. They're rich in vitamin C, vitamin A, and a range of antioxidants. But for aging adults, especially those experiencing leg pain, heaviness, or nerve discomfort, mangoes can be a hidden source of trouble. Let's start with the biggest concern, sugar overload. A single cup of sliced mango contains roughly 23 to 25 grams of sugar, making it one of the most sugar-dense fruits commonly consumed. This amount of sugar is equivalent to many sugary beverages or desserts. In younger bodies with strong insulin response, this spike can be managed, but in seniors, where insulin sensitivity often decreases and glucose metabolism slows down, high sugar fruits, like mangoes, can lead to rapid insulin spikes, increased systemic inflammation, and impaired blood flow, especially to the legs and feet. Scientific studies consistently show that high blood sugar levels stimulate inflammatory cytokines, which in turn can damage blood vessels and nerves, particularly in the lower extremities. The result? Many older adults experience burning sensations in the toes, tingling or numbness in the feet, or heavy, fatigued legs, even after moderate activity. These symptoms are especially common in those with prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or early signs of peripheral neuropathy, a condition in which the nerves in the legs and feet begin to misfire due to long-term sugar exposure. Now, mangoes do have benefits when eaten in small amounts and balanced with fiber or protein. But if leg discomfort is a recurring issue for you, it may be wise to limit mango intake, monitor your body's reaction, and consult your healthcare provider, especially if you're managing blood sugar or nerve-related conditions. Now that we've explored the sugary side of this summer favorite, let's turn to another citrus fruit, often praised for its vitamin C, yet quietly causing its own set of problems in aging joints and legs. Finally, let's look at a fruit that nearly everyone associates with health and vitality: oranges. Packed with vitamin C, fiber, and antioxidants, oranges are often considered a daily must-have for boosting immunity. But what many seniors don't realize is that oranges, particularly when eaten in excess or in juice form, can be a hidden source of leg discomfort, especially for those with sensitive joints or circulation issues. Let's begin with the acidity factor. Oranges are highly acidic, with a pH between 3 and 4. For seniors dealing with osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, or general joint sensitivity, that acidity can be a trigger for inflammation. When acidic foods are consumed regularly, they can irritate joint linings, particularly in weight-bearing joints like the knees, hips, and ankles. The result? Morning stiffness, tight knees during motion, or a dull ache in the legs, especially after periods of rest. While not everyone is affected equally, those with even mild arthritis often report worsened symptoms after eating citrus fruits like oranges or grapefruits. Now let's talk about sugar, because this is where oranges often surprise people. A single medium orange contains around 12 to 15 grams of natural sugar, but many people consume oranges in juice form, thinking it's a healthy alternative. The problem is, one glass of orange juice can have 25 to 30 grams of sugar, and no fiber to slow its absorption. That sugar rush causes a spike in blood glucose, followed by a crash, especially in older adults whose insulin response is already sluggish. These repeated fluctuations not only affect energy, but also contribute to leg cramps, blood vessel inflammation, and slower recovery after walking or standing. Research has shown that high sugar intake, yes, even from fruit juice, can worsen circulatory strain in the lower extremities, making calves and thighs feel tired or even numb after minimal activity. And here's one more detail that often goes unnoticed. Oranges are high in potassium, which is normally good, but in seniors with reduced kidney function, or those on potassium-sparing medications, too much potassium can disrupt electrolyte balance, leading to muscle weakness, especially in the legs. So while oranges have their place in a balanced diet, for seniors dealing with leg pain, swelling, or fatigue, it may be wise to limit portion sizes, avoid fruit juices, and observe how your body reacts after consumption. If you've ever felt more tightness in your knees or tired legs after that healthy breakfast of orange slices or juice, your body might be telling you something important. Now that you know which fruits to rethink or reduce, let's talk about what you should be eating. Fruits that actively support your joint health, improve blood flow, and help you walk stronger, longer, and pain-free. And at the top of that list are berries. Let's begin with blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries. These small, colorful fruits are low in sugar, high in antioxidants, and incredibly beneficial for aging blood vessels, joints, and muscles. Why are berries different? First, they're naturally low on the glycemic index, meaning they cause very minimal spikes in blood sugar. This is crucial for seniors, as it helps protect you from the inflammation and insulin surges we've discussed in earlier segments. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that regular consumption of blueberries improved endothelial function, which is how well your blood vessels dilate and deliver oxygen. Better blood flow means more oxygen to your leg muscles and faster removal of metabolic waste, leading to less fatigue during walking, reduced ankle or calf swelling, and fewer leg cramps after meals. Secondly, berries are rich in anthocyanins, a powerful group of antioxidants that fight inflammation and repair microdamage in blood vessels and joints. This is especially helpful for seniors managing knee stiffness, arthritic pain, or general leg discomfort after movement. Try adding a half cup of mixed berries to your breakfast, or enjoy them as a snack in the afternoon. Unlike other fruits that sneak in hidden sugars, these will support your leg health without overloading your bloodstream. Another benefit? Berries have a high fiber content, which slows digestion and improves gut health, further stabilizing your blood sugar and reducing overall inflammation levels in the body. And here's something rarely mentioned. Berries support your collagen structure, which is key to maintaining strong tendons and connective tissues in the knees and ankles. The vitamin C and antioxidant profile in berries stimulates collagen production, helping you stay mobile and flexible as you age. Let's talk about the second fruits that support your cherries. These small ruby red fruits are more than just a summer snack. They have powerful anti-inflammatory properties, particularly for seniors dealing with joint pain, stiffness, or gout. Cherries, especially tart cherries, contain anthocyanins, the same antioxidants found in berries, but also offer a unique benefit. They help lower uric acid levels in the bloodstream. Elevated uric acid is the root cause of gout, a form of arthritis that causes sharp, burning pain, most commonly in the toes, ankles, and knees. Research published in Arthritis and Rheumatism found that consuming cherries over a 2-day period reduced gout attacks by 35%, and when combined with medication, the reduction was even greater. Just a half cup of cherries, fresh or frozen, can help soothe inflammation, reduce uric acid buildup, and improve comfort in your lower limbs. But remember, moderation is key. Too many cherries can tip your sugar intake too high, so small portions are best. Now, let's talk about the third fruit for leg health, avocados. Yes, avocados are technically a fruit, and they're one of the most nutrient-dense options for older adults looking to protect their joints and stabilize energy levels. Unlike sugary fruits, avocados are rich in monounsaturated fats, which lubricate and cushion joints, vitamin E, which acts as a natural anti-inflammatory, and fiber, which helps regulate blood sugar and supports metabolic balance. What makes avocados especially valuable for seniors is their ability to stabilize insulin. That means you're less likely to experience the blood sugar crashes and post-meal leg heaviness caused by high glycemic fruits like bananas or mangoes. Avocados also support collagen synthesis and contain magnesium, both essential for strong leg muscles, healthy cartilage, and reduced risk of falls or joint degeneration. Whether you enjoy them mashed on toast, sliced into salads, or blended into a smoothie, avocados provide long-lasting energy and joint support, without the inflammatory effects of sugary fruits. Now, let's talk about the fourth fruit for leg health, papaya. Papaya is soft, tropical, and loaded with healing compounds, most notably an enzyme called papain. Papain works similarly to bromelain from pineapples but is much gentler on the body, especially for seniors with sensitive stomachs or joint issues. This enzyme helps reduce inflammation, break down undigested proteins, and support overall gut health, which in turn supports joint recovery and leg function. Research shows that enzymes like papain can lower levels of inflammatory markers like CRP, C-reactive protein, which are often elevated in people with osteoarthritis and muscle pain. Papaya is also rich in vitamin C, beta-carotene, and flavonoids, which protect joint cartilage, soothe knee and ankle pain, and support tissue repair in the legs and feet. Plus, it's low in acid and easy to digest, making it a great option for older adults who can't tolerate citrus or more fibrous fruits. Now, let's talk about the fifth fruit for leg health, pears. Pears may not have the flash of mangoes or berries, but they are low in sugar, high in fiber, and extremely gentle on the joints. A medium pear contains about 17 grams of carbs, but it comes with around 6 grams of fiber, most of it soluble, which slows sugar absorption and prevents spikes in blood glucose. This means pears help you avoid blood sugar crashes, maintain consistent energy, and reduce the likelihood of post-meal leg heaviness or cramps. They're also non-acidic, making them ideal for seniors with arthritis or joint sensitivity, and they're rich in boron, a trace mineral that supports bone health and calcium metabolism. Now, let's wrap this all up with a clear summary and a few practical tips to help you build your ideal fruit routine for strong, pain-free legs. Now that you know which fruits can quietly harm your leg strength and which ones can help, let's go over a few practical science-backed tips to help you take action today. 1. Limit risky fruits. If you've been eating pineapple, mangoes, bananas, or large servings of watermelon and you're noticing leg pain, knee stiffness, or ankle swelling, it may be time to cut back. Try reducing your intake for 2 weeks and watch how your legs feel. 2. Choose wisely. Swap those sugary or acidic fruits for berries, cherries, papaya, pears, or avocados. These support circulation, ease inflammation, and help keep your joints mobile and pain-free. You don't need a lot. Just half a cup a day can go a long way. 3. Pair smartly. Avoid eating fruit alone, especially on an empty stomach. Instead, pair it with protein or healthy fat, like a handful of almonds, some Greek yogurt, or cottage cheese. This helps slow down sugar absorption and prevents insulin spikes that lead to inflammation and fatigue. 4. Check your medications. Some fruits, like pineapple or grapefruit, can interact with blood thinners, statins, or blood pressure meds. If you're taking medications, ask your doctor or pharmacist if any of your fruit choices might interfere with your treatment. It's a simple question that can make a big difference. 5. Listen to your body. Your body is always talking to you, especially your legs. If you notice that your knees feel tighter, your feet swell, or your legs feel heavy after eating certain fruits, that's not random. That's a signal. Don't ignore it. Adjust. Swap the fruit and see how you feel. Aging wisely isn't about giving up everything you enjoy. It's about making informed, thoughtful changes that help you stay strong, steady, and pain-free. Every choice you make is a chance to take back control of your health. What fruit surprised you the most today? Drop it in the comments below. What will you be swapping out? And if this video opened your eyes, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. I read every reply. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a tip that could change your life.